Hey everyone, welcome to the RC Groups podcast. I'm your host, Jim T. Graham. I feel, Jason, how many years? I read that I'm on my 15th Joe Knoll. I didn't even realize it was 15 years. And so anyway, we've been doing not this video podcast, but we've been doing the podcast a long time. But we have a very special guest. First of all, as usual, Jason Cole is here. What's happening, Jason Cole?
What's up, everybody? Woo! We're back.
And then a icon of the RC podcast world, we have Laine. Laine, what is happening?
Not much. Boy, you give me a lot of credit.
Well, I've been wanting to have you on this podcast probably a couple of years now, maybe longer. It's hard to say because time is now merging into itself.
It happens. It's been a minute. You ask, and I'm always in the middle of something, and it just doesn't work. So today I'm in the middle of a million things, but I said, you know what? I'm stopping everything, and I'm going to talk to Jim and Jason.
Awesome. And usually, he's out in a helicopter or on the road or touring the nation in a classic car. So we're lucky to catch you on a Thursday at 2 Central Standard Time.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So, first of all, you may know Laine, but not his head. And you might, if he speaks a little more, you might say, I know that voice. Laine, can you tell us about the previous podcast that you were featured on every week?
Well, we used to do the Crash Cast, of course, and that was Michael Crash Hancock. He did, I want to say 360 episodes, and I was privileged enough to be able to co-host that show for a few years with Crash and the guys. And of course, as most people know, he passed away this past October, 52 years old is all. Yeah, and colon cancer. And so, they got a brick for him up at the AMA headquarters thing. That's pretty neat. And, a whole bunch of people got together and we all paid for that. And just lots of good stuff happening from that. Of course, we're missing out on a really great guy and kind of a legend in RC. But yeah, we did the Crash Cast for a long time. And if you've never listened to it, go back and listen to a few episodes and you'll just shake your head. You'll be like, why did they let this Laine guy on this show? It's insane. He's crazy.
I was on the Crash Cast a few times and I was lucky enough to have some moonshine left over from this or that event. And so I stayed moonshined up throughout the podcast along with the team. And without it, I just don't know that I would have been able to work the show properly.
Yeah, it's kind of a requirement. In fact, I was thinking to myself, I've got a cooler over in the back of the shop here full of Yingling that every time I go to Tennessee, I bring back a whole bunch with. And I was thinking, I really should go grab one of those.
Have you tried Yingling Black and Tan?
I haven't. Is it pretty good?
Oh, it's the only Yingling I drink now.
Yeah. What are you sucking on there in that straw?
This is just pure water. Sometimes I cut it with iced tea to give me a little prick.
It's not a Tino's watermelon teeny thing.
Yeah, no, there's no Tito's in here, but at night usually some Tito's goes in here with iced tea and
5 o'clock somewhere, man. Isn't that what Buffett says?
It's amazing.
Go ahead.
It's amazing how laid back. You get older and everyone, you think that they're mellowing out, but I actually am mellowing out quite a bit.
What's mellowing out? How does that work?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think I can do that.
First of all, let's talk about the backdrop here, Laine. I did you bring my truck in for the podcast?
I did. I said, well, Jim wanted to see it, so here we go. We'll turn. There you go, Jim.
So this is an RC podcast, but we can't not talk. So let me tell you my mental picture of the truck, the story. You saw this in the online or in a paper, and they wanted a few $1,000 for it. You have a car hauler, and you went up and picked it up. And when I saw it on the back of your car hauler, I said, why on earth would Laine even pick up that pile of trash? And then you got it back, and the V8 ran, and so start there. Did it actually, everything worked?
Well, let's back up a little bit. What actually happened is I was on the internet, and usually if I'm looking for things, bad things are about to happen. I own 20 cars right now. You're only looking at a very, very small fraction right here. And I found it on an auction. It was a storage unit auction. Some guy had parked it and never done anything with it. He also had a 79 Power Wagon. And so I was like, oh, look at that. It's at $75. There's 10 days left. Let's bid on it. What do you think, Christy? And she loves these trucks. So I bid $120, and 10 days later, I get a notification that I won a truck, which was weird. Yeah. So I paid $120 for that truck, sight unseen. It was absolutely horrific looking, flat tires, the back end full of junk. It was squatted way down in the back, covered in moss. Had no idea anything about it other than it was a '69 Dodge pickup. And so we hooked up to the 36-foot gooseneck and headed for Washington State. Now, if you don't know, from Nebraska to Washington State, that's a bit of a drive.
And the great part was you're able to visit with your RC friends along the way and interview them and talk to them, which is what I was watching.
Was that like 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah. Well, we got this. I think it took us 22 hours, if I remember right. Man. Drive time. Total cost for the whole trip was about $1,800 for me and the wife. My truck, when I've got a Dodge 5500, a 2015, it's a 5-ton pickup with a 12-foot flatbed. And with that truck pulling trailer, I average around 9.5 miles to the gallon. And with diesel being a little over $3 a gallon, it gets a little expensive. But anyway, I stopped and saw Jamie Burke along the way. And of course, we all know Jamie Burke. He's like awesome. And then we got to stop and see Hans. That was really cool. A couple other folks.
Hans is a big fan of mine.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good for him.
He sends me fan letters and how you doing, stuff like that.
Sure. So we saw a few people and had some fun. Jake Wells, of course, out there in Sequim, Washington. Jake is a quad guy. And really, really interesting story. If you don't know anything about Jake Wells, Flesh Pilot is what he goes by. Take a look at Jake, his website. It might be Flesh Pilot. Maybe one of you guys can look for that real fast and find out. Anyway, he's got this really, really interesting story about his life. He kind of grew up in an interesting situation and kind of got into some stuff. And now he's a born-again Christian. He's a tattoo artist. He's covered in tattoos. He does tons of FPV quads and airplane stuff. Just a really super, super cool guy. He actually, without him, Laine's Planes website and whatnot wouldn't exist, because he actually hosts my website on his server. And he helps me with so much stuff because I am not a computer guy at all. So yeah, I got to see Jake. Anyway, we get there and here's a storage unit. It's like 5 o'clock at night. We pull in with the truck and I finally get to see the thing. And I was like, oh, okay, it's not bad. Full of junk and wasp nests. I had to winch it up onto the trailer with a come along,
the flat tires are just flat. They're not rolling.
It was terrible. And it was in gear, and I thought it was stuck in gear. It's a 3-speed on the column manual, 3 on the tree. And so as it's being winched up, it's shooting gas out of a dry rotted fuel line all over the place. So anyway, get it up on the trailer, and then the 79 Power Wagon. There's not a straight panel on that entire truck. It looks like it's been rolled 7 times. But the frame, engine, transmission, everything's in good shape. So I said, yeah, what the heck? We pulled it up on there too, and off we came for home. We got home. I cleaned it out. Now, this was a good story, because as I'm cleaning this 69 truck out that I got from a storage unit, I go underneath the seat, and I'm, leery of the wasps and spiders and everything else that's in there. And I pull out this little lock box, and I'm like, you know what? This could be loaded with $1 million. This could be, who knows what's in this thing? No keys anywhere. So we just busted open with a hammer and a chisel.
With a pistol.
And, yeah, we could have done. That'd be fun. And what would you guess is inside of this lockbox? Go ahead, Jim. What do you think?
I actually remember, but I mean, I experienced it, but I don't remember what was in there. I'm going to guess love letters.
That would be great. Jason, thoughts?
Decades old Laffy Taffy, maybe?
Let's go with a crack pipe or two, some random pills, cotton balls and swabs and alcohol, typical drug paraphernalia.
A bust-me box, I believe is what they call it.
Yeah. So I have a friend who is a deputy sheriff. He's the canine guy for York County, Nebraska. I took a picture of this all and texted it to him and said, hey, look at this really cool first aid kit I found in this truck I bought. So he got a kick out of that. But anyway, so we disposed of that, a little bit at a time. No, I'm just kidding. It was just the stuff that was it. So we threw it all away, cleaned out the truck, washed it. Now, washing a truck that's been sitting in a storage unit for 10 years in Washington is not exactly easy. We actually got out scrub brushes, hard bristle scrub brushes, and had to scrub every inch of that truck because it had like that stuff that gets on ships, like lichens.
Oh, right.
Wow.
Yeah. Covering that whole thing. So we had to scrub it down, scrubbed it all down, and turns out there's paint under there.
Yeah. Awesome paint.
But there is some. And we put a battery in it, and I put a set of points and a condenser in it, not even plug wires or plugs at the time, and hit the key and it was running. Now, it didn't even put any gas in it. Just fixed the fuel line that had broke.
Wow.
Drove around the yard on the flat tires and went, okay, well, let's keep going. So did a basic tune-up on it and ordered some wheels and tires from Jegs, put them on there, and I checked brakes. The brakes are I mean, there's still paint on the springs and the shoes from they had been new when they put them on. And I drive the thing everywhere. I love the dang old truck. Every now and then the driver's side window falls out, which is interesting. I had to do some repairs on the track mechanism in there. But yeah, 225 slant 6, 3 on the tree, 2-wheel drive, short bed, 69 Dodge D100, and I have less than $1,500 in it. And tomorrow afternoon, I'm driving it 3 hours west to go to North Platte, Nebraska. And then we'll do a 320-mile loop the first day to the north of North Platte, all on back roads and highways through small towns. And then the second day, we'll do a 300-mile loop to the south and then come home. So we're doing basically 800-900 miles in that truck this weekend.
Wow.
That's amazing. And does it have power steering or anything?
Armstrong. Yeah, just Armstrong power steering. That's it. You want to see the interior?
Yeah. We
can go over there. Yeah, the RCGroups podcast has become Laine's car cast.
Laine's trucks.
That's right. So let's see. Here's your interior. Good seat. There's no tears in it or anything. And I don't know, can you see the dash?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's your basic dash. The headlights work, turn signals work. Even the radio works when it's not blowing a fuse. It's just a great truck. The fuel tank on a 69 Dodge is supposed to be on the driver's side, and the tank sits in the cab behind the seat.
That way, when you blow up, it'll blow you up immediately.
Right. So you die, in a blaze of glory. Well, right here on the other side is where the gas cap is. I didn't like that, so I went over there, and I'll show you over there. I cut out the hole for the gas cap, put the tank in the bed of the truck. That way we only blow up a little bit, and welded in the piece of metal right here so I could have my gas cap in the back and get the fuel smell out of the truck.
Wow. Nice.
So did that one afternoon just because I was tired of looking at it. See, it turned out pretty good. You can see my little handiwork right there. Oh yeah, there's a couple.
I mean, you can haul airplanes in the back of the truck.
Oh yeah, we do. We put airplanes back here. We put stuff behind the seat now. We do all kinds of stuff with this truck.
Oh yeah, I like to push the seat back for long-legged people. Now the gas tank.
Yeah. The funny thing is, you're what, 6'2"?
6'3".
6'3". I am 5'6 3/4", and that's with my shoes on. I'm walking over because I've decided a Yingling is in my future. Anyway, in that truck with the seat all the way back, I cannot even comfortably drive.
Interesting. Good to know.
So they are not made for anyone over about 5'8".
Well, you've officially ended my pining for that truck. Now I can just stop.
Well, there's a trick, though. There's always a trick, Jim. You just have to change the seat.
Right. Put like a new bucket in it or something.
Yeah, I could gain easily 4 inches of legroom just by changing the seat to a thinner seat back, maybe some bucket seats or something. So, but anyway, yeah, so that's the 69. Just real quick, what else you see over here? Did
I drop? Are you there, Jason?
I think he
turned and disconnected the internet.
3-4 hours.
Laine, we lost you.
When you turned, something happened.
How about now? Okay. So I bought the car in 95, 98, pulled the engine, built a race car with it. Car has sat since 98. 2 days ago, I decided, you know what? I can get that ready to drive Friday. So I stuffed in an engine and a transmission that I had that ran, and I was out here till 1 this morning working on it. And finally at 1 o'clock, I said, you know what? I'm missing a couple little things that I just cannot do without. So I said, it'll wait till next week. But we'll have that on the road soon.
I have a Challenger story for you, Laine.
Yeah, send it.
In high school, I drove a 84 Highway Patrol Mustang with a Hypo 302 in it and a Holly. And there was an older guy in town who had a 72 Challenger with, I guess, a 440. No, it had 340 in it, right? And a stick.
A 340 be normal.
You still got us?
Yeah.
I think so. I'm there.
Anyway, that guy always wanted to race me. So one day I put him out on the highway and I left that Challenger in the dust. And that grown man almost cried that a new production car beat his 72 Challenger.
Well, that's not even right. I'm shutting down some computers, so we're using less internet, so I don't cut out like that.
But a Challenger, man, it's one of my favorite body styles, even the including the Barracuda and the Charger.
Barracuda, we sold it about 4 years ago, but that one you've seen that one before. That's the '63 Dart convertible.
The Black Dart or the Black Dart is awesome.
Yeah, that's a neat little car. I bought it in South Carolina kind of by accident also. Didn't plan to keep it. The wife loves it, so we kept it. Now I've thrown about $4 grand into it. And then up on the lift is a '73 Dart 340 that my son bought as his second vehicle, and my oldest, Carson. And he just rebuilt the entire front suspension on it. We just put brand new tires on it this morning, and this afternoon it's going for a front end alignment.
Nice.
And he's taking all of these. Those three are going on the tour this weekend, except the Challenger. It's not going.
Laine.
And then,
sorry, go ahead.
There's more.
Yeah, we're not done.
Wait.
Up there, my youngest is 14. That's his '72 Charger. Underneath of it in the back is a '46 Dodge pickup. That's mine. Beside it, you can barely see the roof, is my '69 Dodge Charger. That's my first car. And then the Rusty Hulk is a '57 half-ton Dodge. And then the drag car, maybe you can see it behind the giant airplane back there. That's a little Ram 50 with a small block and 16-inch slicks and the whole deal. So
you're obviously living the dream. Why don't you share with our users what you did? Now, are you still, anyway, let's start in your military flying career, moving into your private flying career, and then tell me what you're doing right now.
Right out of high school, 17 years old, mommy had to sign my papers for me. Went in as a '88 Mike, which is a wheeled vehicle operator. I drove trucks for 13 years in the Army. I did a tour in Saudi Arabia, 2 tours in Iraq, for a total of about almost a little over 3 years of combat time. Decided I was tired of getting blown up and shot at on the ground, so I put in my flight application, got selected, went to flight school, left flight school in 2005 or 6, and went to the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. It was with the Alpha 6 Battalion. Came back from Afghanistan after the second tour and decided to be a flight instructor. Went to Fort Rucker, Alabama, and became a flight instructor. First, I taught platform maintenance test pilot course and the instructor pilot course, and then initial entry guys, brand new pilots. Did that for a year. Went out to the flight line and was an instructor pilot in the OH-58 Kiowa. Did that for a couple of years and then retired. My actual retirement date was December 31st, 2013, which gave me 21 years, 3 months, 29 days of active duty service.
I think I remember, I must have known you at that time because I remember when you actually retired.
Right. The Med-Air in Nebraska of 2013. So I was still active duty Army when I took my job here in Nebraska. Well, if you know anything about the Army, to retire takes about 6 months. They make you go through all these briefings and all these classes and all this stuff. It's ridiculous and it's horrendous. But it's good things for people who don't know how life works. So I was supposed to do all that. I walked in and said, I need you to sign this paper because I'm retiring. And they're like, well, you have to go to this class, this class, this class. And I said, I can't. I'm leaving on Monday. I had 9 days to retire from the Army so that I could be at my new job. And so basically they said, you can't. And I said, well, either sign it or I'm leaving anyway. I don't care. And convinced them to sign my paperwork. Every different place I had to go, turned in all my stuff and loaded up and was in Nebraska. After that, which was I began my new job here, flying an EC-135 helicopter, single pilot IFR for medevac. Did that for 4.5 years. As of March 20th, a couple months ago, I've been unemployed. I don't have a job. How cool is that? So Laine's Planes is what I've been doing since March 20th. However, I did take a job about a month ago with Avera McKinnon Hospital they're in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They are buying a Branch 145, which is a Eurocopter EC 145 with the fenestron tail, the enclosed tail rotor.
Cool.
Brand new with this killer avionics package. And they're opening a new base in Aberdeen, South Dakota, 6 hours straight north of me. And I took a job flying that helicopter for them in Aberdeen. I don't start until the 11th of June. So we've just been doing what we do until I go start working there. It'll be a come for 7 days. And we may do a 2-week on, 2-week off schedule. We'll just kind of see how it goes. But
very cool, man.
So tell us about Laine's Planes and how that got going and what you I have behind me as I'm talking. You can see my Laine's Planes RCGroups lit up sign. He also created my live on air Jim T sign. And I told him to have some of his best selling products out to show us.
Yeah, Laine's Planes came about sometime when I was in Alabama, probably during the flight school time frame. We started making the CUDA, which is a foam airplane, EPP foam, flying wing, forward swept. A lot of people have seen them. In fact, a lot of people own them. We've made hundreds of them. And we made those, and that was the first aircraft. Second aircraft was Norman. I'll show these in a minute. And Norman was just an idea I had one morning sitting on the porch drinking coffee with the wife. And that afternoon I said, what do you think of this? She said it was cute, looked like a cow. So now Norman is a cow and has a name, Norman. She loves cows. So what we're talking about, and I set everything out here so you could see. And there we go. So what you're seeing here is, let me go over there as much as I can.
Hey, Laine, have you ever heard me moo like a cow?
No, would you please moo like a cow for me?
Yeah. Now I was with my daughter's pretty young at the time, and I told her I grew up on a ranch around Hereford bulls, and this is where my cow calling came from. And I said, I can actually speak bull. And this big old bull was in a pasture. I rolled down my window. I mooed, and he mooed back. Obviously, I said something in cow, but I'm going to moo right now. I don't know what that means, but it means something.
That's pretty impressive. Can we get that soundtrack and put him in Norman?
Yeah.
Well, great. So this is Norman. This is the original. This is actually an exact copy of the original, size and dimension-wise. This is a hot wire cut airfoil wing. This one happens to be a nifty Norman. If you notice, a flat wing and ailerons. Nifty down and do loops and rolls and the whole deal. Anyway, EPP, all laser cut fuselage parts and tail and plywood parts. Even the wheels are laser cut. The wing is hot wire cut. We also have the 3-channel version, which that wing is right here. And you'll notice Norman is not even on my website right now. See, he's cute. He even says Norman on there. You see that?
So why isn't it on the website?
Well, because we can't keep up with the demand already. I've had so many orders for that airplane between CEF and Ice House events that if I was to put it on the website right now and say I got 20 orders, it would take me probably 4 or 5 days just to get those cut and caught up. And with everything else going on, if you order something from Laine's Planes, it ships that day almost always. I say almost. So let's go 90% of the time. And I'm not going to be the company that when you order something, it takes me a week to get it shipped to you.
Yeah.
So if I don't have them sitting here, I don't want it on that website where people can order it and then I don't have it in stock. So it'll be a couple of days still. We'll get it on the website and you can order one from me directly. Just at Laine.com and we'll send you an invoice and we'll ship you one. But if I get a ton of orders, I'm going to have to tell you it's going to be a little bit of a wait. So we're trying to avoid that.
And that email you skipped out there was lainesplanes@gmail.com. That's LAINES planes@gmail.com.
So Norman is really cool. But
You got to realize, folks, we're broadcasting out of a barn here, so I think we're lucky to get what we're getting.
more ball set. Let me lift this up and see if that gets a little bit better service. How about that?
We'll let you know. It does seem to change every time you touch it. That's when it goes out.
Okay, then I'm not touching it anymore. So we have Giant Norman. He's our 84-inch airplane, balsa and ply built-up kit. Looks just like the small Norman, except way bigger, and we fill him with LED lights. Anyway, so that's it. You'll see these tool organizers. I touched it. Did it go out?
Nope, it's good.
Okay. These tool organizers are one of our best-selling items right now. This one is the XL version. And you can see it's got spots to hold all your different glues, epoxies, kicker, screwdrivers, pliers, anything you want to put in here. This spot here is for drill bits. We engrave a little place here so the drill bits don't come falling out of there all the time. Allen wrenches, things like that over here. Really a handy thing. We have a drawer kit that goes in here so you can put things in there and never find them again, which is what happens when you have drawers. But we sell just a ton of those. We have a smaller...
Laine, I'm having an idea for you.
What you got?
With the 3D printing craze, the way it is, you could create some 3D printing drawers and power supply holders and stuff like that. That might be a big deal.
That could be pretty cool. I like the way you think. We'll talk about that. This is the original organizer, square, small, same exact thing, just shorter. The difference is we had a customer whose screwdrivers kept hitting his workbench and he didn't like it, so we made it taller and added drawers. The tool caddy, and these are, as Jason put on RCGroups the other day, these are our snazzy versions. It has a maple veneer on it, so really, really nice looking wood instead of being a normal MDF, like you can tell mine has been used and abused. Normal MDF, snazzy.
Snazzy.
That's right.
I dated a girl named Snazzy.
I believe you. I believe you did.
From Dallas.
You guys saw all those airplanes hanging on the wall, right?
Yes,
Si, senor.
So there was there's everything from an E-Flight carbon cub, a quarter scale cub, down to my Cudas and a little Rare Bear and things like that. There's a 50cc ultimate biplane hanging over by the door. All of those are hung on a version of this. This is the Laine's Planes airplane hanger. This one's not glued. This one is made for flying wings because, as you can see, it's not very deep. So you put a flying wing in there, you can screw it to the ceiling, you can screw it to the wall. That's how I transport them in my trailer.
Laine, how much does that cost?
This is $10.
I'm not kidding you, wings and foam FPV planes just laying on a table. So this might be the save me.
Right. And if you buy a bunch of them, we'll catch you a little bit of a deal. We have a larger version for the big airplanes because, you know, the tail sections are bigger and it stands out about that far, maybe about like that, so that you can fit a larger airplane. The CUDA ones, which is what I label these as, I don't know. Can you read what that says? Let's take these out.
You can read this. Here, say something so your screen falls up again.
Okay, how about there? It says, if you can read this, call the police because someone stole my Laine's Planes.
Nice.
Nice.
And we actually sell a lot of these. As soon as people see them, they're like, oh, I got to have that. Which is on our website. It's the gotta have stuff. Anyway, back to airplanes. Down here on the floor, that blue CUDA, and I don't know if you saw the video recently. We took it out to Ice House. First, we flew it at Ceph, and you can see the damage to the nose down there by the floor. That's covered with clear tape currently.
You flew it in combat, didn't you?
No, we tried to fly it during extreme speed with a brand new power setup, and when my sweaty hand went to launch this airplane, my thumb slipped and it spiraled into the ground and broke the nose. So repaired the nose real quick. Once we got down to Ice House, we put the power system back in it and off we went. And that airplane was doing well over 150. It is an absolute blast. You can see the video. I did a Facebook Live. It's on my Laine's Planes Facebook page. We do quite a bit of Facebook Live and some videos now and then, and normally we'll get 2 or 3 shares and maybe 200 or 300 views in a week. That one has had it hasn't even been a week yet, and that one has had 3,500 views.
Nice.
So it seems to be getting around, and it's definitely getting some attention because we're shipping out a lot of CUDA kits. That's the 26-inch version. It's flying on a 1900 kV rocket motor from Chris Click. When I flew it at Ice House, it had a very, very, very old, badly abused E-Flight 2900 6S LiPo in it. So it'll go faster with a decent battery in it. Beside it is the Night Flyer version of the 35-inch CUDA. And the only difference between that and a regular one is you can kind of make out the chevrons on top of the hatch. Right. There's chevrons on top and on the side and on the bottom to allow the light to come out.
You're touching that computer again, Laine.
It's been, the foam CUDA has been crashed multiple back together and fly it some more. And we fly that one FPV most of the time. It's for me on FPV. But and so that's been lately is working. I've got, well, we shipped one this morning and a couple yesterday, and we make things like this. That
nice.
So we make a lot of different signs. Yeah. So we make a lot of stuff like that, just custom orders. We do things like this. This is a kind of like a Yeti cooler thingy. Did strategic EMS on it for a customer, a bunch of those. So if you can think of it, we'll find a way to do it. Just like Jim's signs. I'm going to tilt my camera up behind him there. If you can think of it, we'll come up with a way of doing it.
Yep. So we were headed off to Jonah one year, and I'm not sure. I guess I had the idea. Right? I called you.
Yeah.
You didn't say, hey, and I said, hey, I need a sign for the golf cart. Jason, I don't know. Was that my idea?
I don't remember.
I don't want to take credit but so he carved this thing up behind my head. That is a wood box that's kind of shallow, and it has LED strips inside, and it's currently being powered by a plug. The one below it is being powered by a 3-cell battery that I have, and I did put a battery alarm on it so I don't discharge another LiPo.
All the way down.
So, Laine, before we move on to the next topic, let's tell everyone your URL.
Does that mean my website?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So that's better. You have to, I forgot. There's a cool trophy we did for Joe Vermillion.
We were just talking to Joe Vermillion
today. And we even did the bottom in the stars and bars.
Oh, wow.
Thought that was kind of neat. So that's his trophies this year. Anyway, www.lainesplains.com. That's
lainesplains.com.
And lainesplains.com.
LAINES.
LAINES. And, come take a look at our stuff. And what I'd really like, if anybody's listening, I mean, is anybody listening to this anymore? Hello?
Yeah.
I can't hear anybody. Is there somebody there?
There's 30 live viewers right now. They come in.
Oh, those poor people.
But after it goes live, it goes onto our YouTube channel, and then just millions of people watch it.
Right. I know. I listen to it on occasion when I have, 8 minutes. What were we talking about?
Lainesplains.com.
Obviously. Anyway, share our page, go to our Facebook page, share it with your RC friends, get them to look at it. People don't know what they need until they see it sometimes. The reason these tool organizers and all these different things exist is because I have 2 lasers and I have a shop full of stuff, and I went, what I really need is some way to organize my tools. Wait a minute, I have a device that I can do that with. So I made these things, and they just continue to be modified and modified to suit whatever need people have. We've modified these into paint holders for scale modelers when they have all their different little bottles of paint, and we make those for them.
They would also be perfect for leather stamping tools. I've paid high dollar for holders from all my stamps, and that's before you existed.
Yeah, your leather work is just phenomenal. I absolutely love it. So keep posting your pictures because I like it.
Thank you.
But yeah, so just share our page with people, with all your RC friends, and take a look at what we sell. And if you have an idea, something that you want, give us a holler. We're working on multiple kits right now, balsa and foam kits. currently the closest one to being ready is our 96-inch. Basically, it's an ultra stick type airplane, and it'll be a 96-inch balsa and ply built up kit. Don't know much else yet as far as power system because I got to test it, but we'll see how it goes.
Now,
it should be out this year.
You've been on the road all summer, right?
Yes.
Tell us about some of the shows you've been to.
Well, so far this year, we went down to CEF, of course. And when we go to CEF, we usually spend 10 to 12 days there, even though the show is only 6 or 7 days long. So we showed up on the Thursday prior to CEF and just had some fun and played with our stuff and did some testing and built a couple of Normans.
How was CEF this year? You know, Mike McDougall was headed down for us and he had a hand burning accident.
Yeah. How's he doing?
I just spoke to him and he said no more grafts. And when you hear about somebody doing something like that, you hope for the best, but it sounded like it was pretty bad. So I'm just glad he's okay now.
Yeah, we definitely missed Mike there, and we talked about him and prayed for him while we were out there at CEF. That's for sure. So good to know that he's at least recovering.
On the right track.
We had there was somewhere around 220, 250 pilots this year, which is just such a perfect amount at Hodges Field. A lot more than that, it gets busy. Less than that, it's not as much fun. So it was a perfect amount of people, I think.
What kind of weather?
We had decent weather most of the time, but we had 2 days of just torrential rain. Maybe it was 1 day. And we ended up in a mud hole on the end of the field where we were set up. So they moved us up to basically show center. And all of a sudden we went from, selling $5 worth of stuff to we were sold out of almost everything when we left.
Wow.
Makes good to know, right?
Yeah. So we did really, really well, and we had a lot of fun. Josh from Flex Innovations, he flew my 35-inch Night Flyer CUDA on, what is that, the Aura 8 or Aura 9 or something?
Yeah, the gyro.
Their flight stabilization. He put that in there, and he flew it during extreme speed and just loved the airplane. The stabilization thing is really cool, too. So take a look at Flex's stuff. They've got some great stuff. Anyway, what's that fella's name? Damon that makes the MSL? Is that Damon that made that giant airplane?
Oh, I don't know his name.
I think it's his name, Damon. Dag.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Anyway, this year he brought a different airplane. I don't know what he called it for sure, but it was about probably 16, 18-foot wingspan. Fuselage was like this big around. Kind of 30s racer looking type airplane. Just absolutely huge, scratch built, beautiful yellow airplane. So if you look at any of the CEF videos, you'll see it. But CEF this year, honestly, weather was good except for the couple of the rainstorms. But temperature, the bugs, the gnats weren't there this year, which was phenomenal. Not having to deal with.
Yeah, that's got to be just such a blessing.
Yeah. So yeah, we just had a great time. They're kind of relaxing it a little bit. It started out kind of relaxed and got very strict and kind of crazy, and now it's going back to the way it used to be, where it's just a lot more fun. The night flying obviously is always great at Hodges. You'd go out and you'd have anywhere from 20 to 50 night flyers in the air chasing each other around, just having fun. So off the top of my head, I can't come up with anything extremely memorable other than I got second place in the LMR again. Just saying.
Congratulations. What were you flying?
I actually didn't. I have my sailplane that I designed, the Prowler, that yellow sailplane of mine. And I haven't fixed one of the design flaws in it yet, so I didn't have it ready for this year. So I found the cheapest sailplane I could find that wasn't a Radian. I hate to be like everybody else. So I found out that FMS has an airplane called the Fox, and it's roughly a 90-something inch, kind of a sailplane-y thing. I bought one of those, and that's what I flew in the LMR. It's a plug and play for like $199. And that's what I flew. So it did pretty well.
Awesome.
The pilot sucked, but the airplane did fine. So, of course, my buddy Fireman Bill, he got third this year. He beat me last year, and I beat him this year. So we just kind of go back and forth.
That's right.
But no, we really had a good time this year. The Normans were, I think, the hit of the show for everybody down by us. I think we had 10 or 11 of them flying at a time.
Wow.
And it's when you put 10 of one kind of airplane in the air together, it really gets a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So people would come down and look at them, and next thing you know, we were sold out and had orders to ship. It was a really good show for us in that aspect. The Normans, really interesting what people come up with. And I'm thinking about having a contest where, you buy a Norman, we'll give you a discounted price or something for if it's for the contest. And I don't know, maybe a 3-month, so maybe over the winter time, I don't know. And we'll just call it some kind of a Norman contest, because some of these guys painted them up, one like a Messerschmitt. Can you imagine a cartoony Norman Messerschmitt? Another one was a Spitfire. They just really did these great camo and military paint jobs on them. And then, of course, I have my regular cow Normans. There's a customer right now doing a P-40 Warhawk Norman. I want to do a Red Baron, with the crosses and the whole deal. And they all have a face, so they kind of have that little silliness with them. So the face is actually a laser cut and comes with the kit.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Cool.
So I think we could have a contest, like a paint job or whatever they do to them, modify the crap out of it, have fun, and then have somebody judge it and see who wins. But I think that'd be a lot of fun to do. So people get real creative when you hand them a silly airplane.
Yeah, it's all about fun. Have fun with it.
You went to at least 2 or 3 other shows other than Sev, right?
We went down to Ice House. We got back from there on Monday. Ice House is by Rockville, Texas. We spent 4 days down there, I believe, and it was hot. 3 weeks ago, I ran a ultra marathon in northern Nebraska. Me and a friend of mine did 27 miles each, and it was 40 degrees and raining the whole time. And then I get in a truck on the following week and go to Texas, and it's 95 degrees. So big change. And now in Nebraska, we're up to 95 on a normal day again. But down at Ice House, smaller event for this one. It was their Wings Over Apache Pass. And, I'd say 40 pilots maybe. Mostly, 100, 120, 170 cc gassers, 3D type stuff. A few more, a few sport planes and things like that. My good friend Matt Vaudrin, Rum Builder, he came down there with he's got a new kit he's making. It's a flat foam B-17.
Huh.
And he'll be selling these, and you can find his stuff at rumbuilder.com. And they're just fun. We had 3 of them. He had them all airbrushed when we flew. We tore all 3 of them up. He glued them together, and off we went again.
Rum Builder is the guy who had the school bus airplane and then also drives that crazy van.
Yes, and he's got the fire truck airplane.
Right.
We actually put my FPV CUDA on top of his school bus. He took off 50 feet. He released the CUDA, and then I flew at FPV off of there.
Awesome.
So we had a lot of fun with that.
Did you say you're into FPV now?
I wouldn't say I'm into it. I'd say I do it when somebody dares me. Right. So I've got a pretty nice setup on that CUDA over there. Multi-RC hooked me up with some of their antennas, and I don't know what they are. Maybe you guys know, but they work extremely well. Good camera. I don't know what it is, but it's that camera right there. And
that's the R7-2468.
That's a Pagoda. It's a Pagoda antenna.
Yeah.
The Pagoda is the only thing that Jason and Matt use.
And then this is a Hawkeye race band VTX, I think they call it. But then these antennas, these are neat. He's got these real.
What's he saying, Jason?
I keep missing him.
To keep the antenna. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. These got these little 3D printed things that go between.
Yeah, I've got
keep them from bending.
Yep.
And the quality. And with this setup is just absolutely excellent compared to what with this, and the CUDA is a lot of fun FPV. So anyway, That was the only 2 this year. We will be going to in Iowa. We're looking at a couple in Colorado.
It's getting really bad now, Laine. Hey, Laine, I'll tell you what, why don't we pitch it to Jason and let him talk about his latest review that he did.
Sounds good.
Oh, baby.
Maybe that signal will strengthen up.
Yeah, I'll go over near my receiver thing.
Weird. Yeah. All right. So what's up?
Jason and I actually made it to the field last week.
Yeah, we did. All right. There it is. So we talked about the Slowpoke from Durafly, and I got the review up, I believe, this morning.
Jason, can you, make that, there you
go. How's that? Looks better, right?
It doesn't look bigger.
Does it look bigger? It looks huge on my screen.
All right. Well, maybe that's all you got.
Let me see what it looks like when I get over to the... Yeah, I guess it doesn't look... I don't know.
Maybe when you click on the photos, things will get big.
We'll stick with that. If I click on a photo from here, it'll be almost too big. But, okay, anyway. So, it's an EPO park flyer, kind of medium-sized, small plane. It runs on a 3S 2200, which they sent here. Here's like everything in the box. So it's 2 pieces of wing. It's the tail. It's nice painted 12x8 prop, landing gear. Pilot figure actually looks really good, which is a nice change. It's got some scale, little motor stuff hanging out. It's got flying wires that you'll put on the wing. I was real impressed with the quality. Like Durafly stuff's been doing really good lately. So, you know, the quality of the foam and the fit of everything and the construction was well done. There was no things that I had to like fix, you know, before you built it. It just all went together and was really nicely done. All of the hinges now, I've noticed on Durafly models, are they have an extra layer of like contact adhesive glue on the hinge, so it's like extra durable. So they've really like taken user feedback and everything and starting to see improvement on these construction at the factories, which is really nice. But putting it together, it was less than an hour. It was like you glue the vertical to the horizontal and then glue all that onto the tail really fast, really, you know, quick. And you just put your control horns in, hook up your linkages. It's all ball link control horns, which is really cool. It's really easy to adjust, and it's, you know, nice quality stuff, which is before, you know, you'd see control horns that would break off and cause problems and crashes. So it's great to see good quality stuff. You guys still there?
Yes, sir.
Are you on me?
I got you.
I think I hear you.
Yeah, man, you were doing fine.
What happened, Jason?
He stopped talking and then the whole thing broke.
Man, that's a cool airplane too. Did he say the wingspan?
Wingspan was, what is it, 47 inches?
Nice.
There you go. So you glue the wing together, and then you put in these little plastic hold downs, which is what attaches. You put your hold down bolts through the wing to the fuselage, the front and the back, and that's what holds it down. The landing gear just slides right in the slot, and you've got this little cover, holds it in place. You get a little carbon fake exhaust tip, and you get non-functional flying wires. These are just music wire with a couple springs attached. Just looks neat, kind of scale-ish looking. Got your little spinner, and you can see a little bit more motor detail right here. Nice looking motors, you know, little engines poking out the side. And then inside, you've got your rudder and elevator servo. Battery lives in the nose. It's just secured with Velcro. Pop a receiver in, and you're ready to go. So it's a really quick build, less than an hour, and it's a good-looking airplane. Once you get it in the air, it's got a nice trim color scheme. You know, the paint is really nicely done. There's no overspray or anything weird. Just looks good. And then let's see if I got a shot. I don't know if we have a shot of the bottom. Yeah, okay. Here you can kind of see the bottom of the airplane. It's got some black stripes, so it's not like just white on the bottom.
Is that a hawk behind you there?
It is like a little eagle. It's my buddy. He flies with me.
I shot these photos, and whenever I take photos for Jason, I always pray that they're in focus. So at least
it can be tricky, man. So it's easy to see front from the top, the top from the bottom. And how do I get out of here? Let's go back. All right.
And let me say, Jason will go over it in this flight video, but it is a slowpoke. But Jason was doing some nice edge maneuvers and inverted flight and all kinds of stuff.
Let me back it up here. Yeah. So yeah, it's called the Slowpoke, and so that's what surprised me. I kind of talk about in the videos. Yeah, it can fly slow. It's got a really thick wing cord. So it's a lot of drag. You got the flying wires. The tail is really thick foam. So it's got a lot of drag to it, and that just helps it fly slow. So if you just want to lumber around and do some slow cruising flights, it can do that just fine. And it's really stable at low throttle and easy to fly. But when you crack open the throttle, man, it really gets on it at full. I was really surprised and impressed with the speed and power. So for me, it just adds more to the airplane. It makes it more than just a slow cruiser. Like, you can do knife edge passes down the runway. You can do point rolls and inverted flight and snaps and really quick aileron rolls. And you can just horse around with it like a sport fun fly type plane.
And you were saying, or I think you're running a 3-cell, but were we saying that you could run a 4-cell in here too?
It does say you can run a 4-cell, which would be, I think it'd be crazy on 4-cell. And you'd probably have to pull the prop back to like a 10.6 or 10.8 or something. It's a 12.8 like it is. You'd probably be pushing the motor and speed controller without changing the prop. But I'm sure, prop it down, it can handle it. But there's no real need for it. It's got just gobs of power. I think we do a giant, one of the largest loops I've ever done, I think, with this thing.
Whoa.
At least on video coming up, you'll see it. It just climbs for days, goes big as you want. Nice fast roll rate right there.
Easy to videotape in case you're into that.
Totally. It's great for doing reviews. Is this the loop? Is this the loop? No. Yeah. No. Yeah. It is.
Whoa.
There we go. It keeps going, like almost the length of the runway for a whole loop. So
this would also, I think, be a pretty good FPV plane if you want to put a camera in place of that.
There's tons of room. Yeah, you got room underneath to put all the stuff, and then you can have remove the pilot and put a pan tilt on it. Just have really cool open cockpit style FPV. There's a knife edge pass. So for me, all in all, like flying wise, it was great. It handled really nice, easy to fly, aerobatic, just real kind of fun flying airplane. But then the landings were the only kind of negative for me, at least. Everybody likes to do a nice, like, perfect greaser. Get it on the runway, just kiss the wheels on the runway.
I.e. Jason.
And I was not able to make that happen with this airplane. I tried many times, all kinds of different landings. I tried to do a stall right on the ground, see if I could just kill all the lift. I tried doing wheel landings with some speed, slower. I tried everything I could throw at it to get a nice, perfectly smooth landing, and it bounced on me every time. I mean, even the landing I ended up using in the video here was the best of the bunch.
The one in the video looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, this one it looked pretty good, but it was a bouncer. It wasn't a touchdown and roll out, grease kind of landing. It was had some bounces to it. And yeah, it's okay. It's not like dangerous or it's going to tear up your airplane or anything. It's just, if you like shooting, nice smooth landings, it's going to be tricky on paved runways. That's the caveat here, I guess.
Did you try it in the grass?
We're coming in right now. It handles, slows down really nicely. It's all stable and smooth. We hit and kind of bounce 2 or 3 times there. If you're doing this off of grass, it'll fly off grass. Plenty fine on grass. You can grease it. It doesn't bounce as much. It's just hard surfaces. You're going to have that issue.
What's the cost on this airplane, Jason Cole?
It's only like $145.31.
That's awesome.
I'm calling that landing pilot error.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
You should have seen the other landings, though. That was the best one.
You need a Norman. Then you just do one wheel touch and goes down the length of the field.
And then the wheel continues to spin while you fly the rest of the flight.
Yeah. I had the Slowpoke kit I built from Great Plains. I suppose it was 60-inch or so. And the Slowpokes are one of my favorite airplanes just because they're a Slowpoke and they're cool. So that's something, and I'm not, oddly, I make foam airplanes. I'm not huge on foam airplanes, but I think I might buy that one.
Yeah, it is really cool. And maybe, a wheel change or something could improve the hard surface landings, but it's not. I mean, it's really not a big deal. It's just like trying to get nitpicky. It's like the only thing that I could find that this might be something to think about.
Nothing better than a low stress RC plane. It's not intimidating. It doesn't make you worried that you might crash it. And that's exactly what that is. Hey, by the way, thanks to our podcast sponsor, Hobby King at hobbyking.com. I didn't say that at the top of the hour. So big thanks to them. Big thanks for this airplane and supporting us for all these years. And by the way, Jason, I went out with my wife at Memorial Day. I was supposed to go to the fly-in, but my wife wanted to go to her family's part of the country here in Tennessee, where everyone that from the 1880s and 1820s were buried. And when we were there, two little kittens ran up on us, and I was going to take them home, and I was thinking of names. That's how far it had gotten. And I was going to name one Pan and the other one Tilt, and then we'd have Pan and Tilt.
That's a great name.
But every time I went to pick up the cat, I mean, these cats were about to come home with me, and I'm the best pet owner that they could ever ask for. They might as well go to heaven because they're going to live in luxury here. And they would run away just as fast as they would. I never could catch them. But I said, well, bye.
Enjoy your life out in the open.
Hey, that review that you just saw is now live on RCGroups.com, the world's largest and most active RC website. And you can go check it out by clicking on the magazine page and pulling it out of planes, or I think there's a main tab there. And then you can also click on the airplane circular button in the header of the site. And Mr. Laine, do you have any sales going on, or since you're picking up this new job, are you just trying to keep things kind of low key over there?
Well, the first thing I want to say is you and your wife went out on Memorial Day?
Yeah.
Okay, good, because that was the day before that I took her out. I just want to...
Yeah, just let me know ahead of time.
Yeah. By the way, never mind. I'll leave that one alone. No, we're just kind of doing our thing. We try to give people a discount for military guys just because, they've got a special place in my heart, obviously. And if somebody asks, we'll do the best we can for them, which isn't much. As you guys know, we're a very small business. It's me and Christy. We're the only two doing this, and we're about to the point where we're going to have to hire somebody. So, Jim, if you're looking for a job, I know a place where you could go. That's lanesplanes.com.
And I could hang out in that garage and maybe drive whatever car I wanted on Friday.
That's a perk. Yeah, you get all the free beer you want because we got a keg over there. And so, the beginning of the night, because you'd have to work night shift because we do the day stuff. So the beginning of the shift, all your stuff would be really good, and then towards the end of the shift, it starts to fall off.
If only I were single. It sounds like a good gig.
But yeah, and then I'll let you drive one of the cars. You get a different car every day of the week.
You had me at every different car every day of the week.
Yeah. No, but like I said, we try to help out our military guys. And then of course, police, first responder guys, if you ask, we'll do what we can for you. It might just be a couple of dollars or something, but anything helps. And I know that. So, but generally no real sales that we do, probably because Christy and me, mainly Christy, designed our website. And we are not web designers.
You're not going to go change prices and change them back, right?
Exactly. We don't know how to change things too easily and modify things and have, like our inventory on the site and things like that. So if it's on there and you order it, we will get it to you as fast as we humanly can, unless we're out of town. But we've got some neat stuff and it's fun and we just enjoy doing this. Realistically, we don't make a lot of money off of this stuff. We just do it because it kind of pays for us to go to the shows and have fun and meet people and hang out. And maybe one day somebody rich like you, Jim, will just say, "Hey, Laine, I like your stuff. Let me buy that entire company from you." And I'll be like, "Take it."
There's a misconception going around that I was part owner in RCGroups and somehow I've now retired. And I just want to dispel that myth. I was never an owner of RCGroups and I'm not independently wealthy.
I thought, didn't I see your name on Jim Burke's airplane in great big huge letters?
I was actually in Jim Burke's airplane a week ago, his newest Cirrus SR-22.
I saw that.
Flying that thing. But nope, Jim is out on the airplane full scale circuit doing his thing. He bought an airplane, I guess, to move around with his airplane so he can take the family places. Hey, speaking of going places, Jason Cole is about to get in the car and go to Jason.
Yeah, man, I'm heading out first thing in the morning. I'd head up to Champaign, Illinois for the Horizon RC Fest.
And Laine, they're going to have a monster truck crushing cars.
I saw that, and it's a Dodge.
Yeah.
Isn't it the Raminator? Isn't that the one they're having?
Yeah, the Raminator.
And in fact, Kim from Horizon sent me an email. She said, I'm trying to call you, and I had to tell her we're live right now. But when we jump off of here, I'm actually going to call Kim in just a second. So a lot of Horizon interaction going on today.
I'm looking forward to it. The weather looks pretty good for the weekend. They're going to have a lot of activity going on. Airplanes, helicopters, drone racing, RC cars and trucks, and all kinds of stuff. So I really want to get my hands on a few of the new planes that have been released recently. See how those feel. If it works out, I'm going to try to do some little articles about my experiences with those while I'm there. We're just going to see how the event goes, but we'll be bringing photos and maybe some video and some coverage of the event while we're there this weekend. So should be a lot of fun.
I had told Kim, I said, look, I'm really looking forward to this. I went to the first one last year by myself. Jason was at some event and Ashley was at another event. And I was like, so I went by myself. I had a great time. They took me out to dinner, hung out with Flight Test. I flew a Havoc, a $14,000 jet, and I hung out with Jace, the Ace Ducia, and his mom and dad, and had a great time. And so I was like stoked because this is a 3-day event instead of a 1-day. And then my wife said, you know, Sarah's wedding is that day. And if for those who are following along in the game of life, Sarah is our next door neighbor, and she's been running with us until this all ties in, Jason, until we went out and ate Mexican food, and she met a dude named Wade who we invited back to our house. They got in our pool. We made drinks. They wound up kissing in my pool, and that was a year ago. And as of last week, my pool was ripped out of the ground. By the way, I'm going to tell you all a secret. And they're getting married on the Saturday night. I believe it's Friday or Saturday night, whatever the perfect night for me not to make this event is. And so I pulled some of the stones out of the sidewall. It's a concrete pool. And today, after 5, I'm making myself a block of concrete pool shards. It's kind of a mosaic, and this will be my wedding gift to them of their first date. They can have the pool everywhere they go.
I love that.
They don't know about it yet. I've kept it a secret so far.
I hope they have a really thick, heavy mantle to put that on, because a concrete wedding gift is intense.
Well, and I've the next thing I have to do is work on we're moving into Jim T stories, but I'll make it short. Sarah and my wife and I Nashville has a lot to do. So we went to many shows, and Sarah can be a handful, get thrown out of the certain the Bluebird Cafe that you saw in the hit TV show Nashville. We would go there, and the guy would be like, it's a good thing I know you, or I'd throw this chick out immediately. So my best story, and I'm trying to work this into my wedding speech, we were walking downtown, and there was a guy leaning against a wall wearing sunglasses, and she said, we have got to get a picture with that guy. And she knows that I'm as crazy as she is. So we walk up to this guy, start talking. He's like, yeah. So we're getting pictures with the coolest guy in downtown Nashville. And then later in a bar, he's sitting at a table with a pretty unattractive woman. Okay. And Sarah goes, look, it's our guy. It's our guy. So Sarah's kind of 80 beers in, and she slides up next to this guy, still wearing sunglasses, and she puts her phone in front of him, and she's like, look at this great picture of you. And then the lady, I could tell because I'm sensitive, was getting really upset with us. She's like, but look at it. And he's like, yeah, but he's obviously not looking at the phone. And she's like, look at it. It's great. It's great. And the lady is now going to rip our faces off. And then she says, he's blind, for God's sakes. What, are you playing a cruel joke on us or something? He can't see your damn phone. So, stuff like that.
That's awesome. You know, if you don't interject the Jim stories, then what's the fun of the podcast?
Yeah, maybe. I like to think of it that way.
Yeah.
Blind.
That's what makes these things fun is the personalities involved, you know, Jason and you, and even maybe my silliness on whatever.
Well, Laine, I would love to have you back on a reg. So, you know, I know you're going to have a job now, but it'd be maybe in the future.
Well, you know what I used to do with the Crashcast is I would take my computer to work, and I'd be sitting there in my flight suit with the helicopter parked outside, and I'd do the show. If the phone happened to ring during the show and I had a flight, I'd hang up and off I went.
Yeah.
And that's just how we did it. And
Okay.
then on my week off, obviously, I just have to stop and take time out of my day and do my thing. But no, I actually miss doing the podcast quite a bit. I really enjoyed doing it. So yeah, I'd really be happy to. But you're going to lose a lot of listeners if you put me on regularly.
Well, hey, I'm spacing out on his name on the Crashcast. The guy, my favorite guy, who was real country.
Cathead.
Cathead Biscuit.
Cathead.
Oh man, what if we got you and Cathead on? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Cathead he's an interesting fella, that's for sure.
And not to get sad, I told Jason, I said we're coming around to the anniversary of Crash. It's just hard to believe Crash is gone, and maybe in a way he's not, and maybe that's why it's so hard to believe, but it really is hard to believe.
Yeah, Crash, me and him would talk on the telephone sometimes 3-4 times a week. And then obviously we did the podcast every week. So we communicated a lot. And even now, I mean, it's been since October that he passed away. And even now there's times when I'm like, oh, I got an idea. And I'll grab my phone to call Crash. And then it's like, oh,
yeah.
So it's hard. While we were down at Ice House for Wings Over Apache Pass, Connie and Crash's girls, that's his wife, they all came down and visited us, and we went and had dinner at the steakhouse there, and hung around for night flying, and we just had a real good time. It was nice to see that she's doing well.
I'm Facebook friends with his daughter, who was sort of interested in leather work, and she's likes to draw. So
Mackenzie.
Yeah, I told Crash if she ever needed anything in that vein, always let me know, and I'd do whatever I could.
They're just great people.
Yeah.
So we'll see them again. They're doing flight. Have you guys been to Flight Fest yet?
Never. Although I really am a big fan of the flight test guys.
They're great guys. If you're doing yourself a extreme disservice by not going to Flight Fest, you grab things like that Slowpoke that Jason just reviewed, and a Norman and a foam CUDA, and then you go to Flight Fest and just try to take it all in.
I heard that foam airplanes literally rain from the sky the whole time.
At times. I had a midair with a 35-inch CUDA during the daytime at 120 miles an hour and completely annihilated my CUDA and just put a scratch on the guy's foam airplane. And we laughed about it, and off we went and flew some more. It's an absolutely amazing event. The things that they do with the kids and the build tents, and just go. Trust me, you will not regret it. It's so much fun. They're doing Ohio, of course, again, and then we'll be at that. And then we'll be at Texas. They're doing the first year in Texas at Apache Pass, where we just came from. So we will be there. I think that's in November. So we're going to hit both of them. And just like always, we're going to have a good time. That's what it's all about.
Well, good to know. Hey, everyone, I'm excited to say we've blown past the hour mark, which we haven't done in a few YouTube Hangout /podcast. I also think this will be a good audio podcast, and Jason's getting up and getting out and going to have a good time this weekend. Also, Mike Hines is going now. For y'all playing along, Kim and David at Horizon, David Payne is one of the designers there. He used to be, Kim and David used to run with Jason and I when we worked at Hobby Lobby. So when we went to Seth and Joe Nall, that was part of our crew, but Mike Hines was the also part of that crew. And Mike is now doing reviews for RCGroups. He is local, so we see each other at the field. So I said, Mike, since I'm going to this wedding, you should go. And Kim is very excited, and I'm sure David, to see Mike. So y'all have a great time up there. Everyone on the podcast, be sure to watch for the event coverage on rcgroups.com. And Laine, man, I appreciate you taking time out to hang out with us.
Thank you. When we're done, I'm going to go get covered in grease from elbows to my fingertips and finish getting these cars ready to go.
Well, tell the missus that I said hello, and always a pleasure to see her when we're out.
I will. Send her a message on Facebook, an audio clip of you doing your cow.
Okay.
Your move. You would make her giggle for days.
I'll record it, make it a WAV file, and that way you can have it too if you ever want to stick it on one of your airplanes.
I have a sound system on Ginorman now, so I want to record that on there.
All right, awesome. Hey, and last of all, but not least of all, thanks to everyone who joined us live, and then everyone who's watching us non-live. We do this every week. We hopefully have good content and have something to talk about. And so we're excited to get Laine on this week. Next week, we'll be talking about the event at Horizon at the RC Fest. I'm Jim T. Graham, your host. Thank you, Jason.
Peace out, y'all. See you
Thank
next
you,
week.
Laine.
You bet. See you guys. Thanks a lot. Lainesplains.com.
Send me down at lainesplains.com, Jason.
Lainesplains.com.
Lainesplains.com.
And we're not out yet, but soon to be out.